Talibe boys are boys sent by their families into the cities between the ages of 2 and 6 to be placed in the care and control of Muslim Quranic teachers known as marabouts to memorize the Quran in Arabic. Because they memorize the Quran in Arabic, because that's not their native language, they grow up never learning how to read or write because their whole life they're learning how to memorize the Quran. So by the time they graduate the school, they don't have a trade, so they can't get a job. They can't really do anything with their lives. So a lot of them end up going back to the schools and making their own daras or their own Quranic schools and becoming a marabou. So Talibe boys are supposed to, their purpose in the cities and in these schools called daras is to memorize the Quran, spend these years between the ages of 2 and 18 memorizing the Quran. But what ends up happening, because the system is corrupt, is they end up begging. All of them, they beg to get money, rice, sugar for their Quranic teachers. So the system is corrupt. They're not well cared for. They're not fed. They're malnourished. Recently, Eric Toumeau, the national director of World Vision Senegal, said the Talibe phenomenon is a cultural practice that has been skewed. Originally, children were sent to marabouts to learn the Quran and the virtues of humility, but now the practice is far from its original intent and has become the exploitation of children for monetary benefit. 2004 UNICEF report estimates that there are up to 100,000 child beggars just in Senegal, and the vast majority of them are Talibes. The substantial sums of money, rice, and sugar collectively brought in by beggar Talibes are not used to feed, clothe, shelter, or otherwise provide for the children. Many of the children suffer from severe malnutrition. Most Talibes interviewed by Human Rights Watch said that they only had one change of clothes, and over 40% did not have a single pair of shoes, leaving them to beg barefoot. Some Talibes said that they would save up money from extra hours of begging and that they would buy a new pair of shorts or a shirt. Their marabou would take the clothing that they bought and give it to his own children. Along with everything else that's negative about their conditions, their living conditions are horrible. A typical dara is an abandoned or partially constructed building that offers little protection from rain, heat, or cold. The children sleep in as many as 30 to a small room. As a result, disease spreads quickly and the children often fall ill from skin disease, malaria, and stomach parasites. Even though they often fall ill, they're rarely cared for by their marabouts. Instead, many children are forced to beg over time to pay for their own medications. The boys often endure beatings from their teachers and other Talibes. An 11-year-old boy sent by his parents to a marabout in Dakar, Senegal's capital, at age 7, told Human Rights Watch, "Every day I had to bring the marabout 600 CFA, which is $1.30, rice and sugar. Every time I couldn't, the marabou would beat me with an electric cord. He would strike me so many times on the back and the neck, too many to count. Each time I was beaten, I would think of my family who never laid a hand on me. I would remember being at home. Eventually I ran away. I just couldn't handle it anymore." The daras I went to were falsely presented to be good caretakers. I think everyone pretty much knows the schools don't properly care for the boys, but the people of Senegal ignore it because no one can afford to change it. The practice has just become part of their society. We went to 2 daras. One did take good care of the boys, the other did not. In both daras, the boys were homeless and beggars. In the first one, they weren't bathed, had fungus on their heads, and they were very, very malnourished. At the second dara, the boys were a lot more clean and better fed, but they were still homeless and beggars. In the first dara, there was a lot of sexual corruption. According to a recent study by World Vision, up to 80% of the street children have been sexually abused, making them vulnerable to AIDS. There was an incident when I was there where a 10-year-old boy was abused by a 15-year-old. even though there was abuse, I could still see that there was a bit of a father-son relationship between the older boys and the younger boys. The older boys did care for the younger boys' needs, especially in the medical clinics. They took care of their medications. They took care of the clothes we gave them. They cared for their needs, even though I know there is abuse in that school. In the second Dara, where the boys were obviously more taken care of, I don't think there was as much corruption. I could definitely tell that the younger boys were much more loved by the men in charge than the younger boys were at the other Dara. So the care of the boys really depends on the Dara, but the Daras tend to be more like the first one, where the boys weren't as well taken care of. This is the first year out of 7 years that the team has gone to a Dara where the boys were as well taken care of as they were at the second Dara, the first time in 7 years, and every year they go to a different Dara. My point in all of this is that everybody can make a difference. I want to inform people of the issues. I had no idea that there were such deep-seated issues in this culture, this culture with Talibe boys who were so young and begging, until I went on this medical trip with my uncle. So I'm so thankful for the opportunity, and I just want people to know about the issues so that they can be inspired to go, because there are many opportunities to go and make a difference. If you feel as though this video impacted you, or at least made you more aware of what was going on in the other country, please leave a comment below. That would be awesome. I just want to know that this is making a difference. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope you can make a difference as well in the world.